We are live. Who's with me? Who's coming on tonight? Anyone there? I'm going to wait till someone is there so I can at least have a chat with them. Guys, I appreciate you being here. If you're coming on live, welcome to tonight's LinkedIn Live, or live on YouTube, live on Facebook, live on a few different places. How to build muscle, burn body fat, optimize your hormones, and feel fucking fantastic as you get older. That's what we're looking at. All right, guys, if you're coming on live now, drop a comment into the chat. Let me know, obviously your name's going to pop up, but let me know where you're coming in from. Let me know if where you are in the world, if you're in the States, or within the UK, wherever you are, drop a comment, question. Just to let you know, you can ask a question throughout the whole of this presentation anytime you want. There's only me on the stream here. So if I see the question and it's not going to ruin what I say, when I'm presenting other parts of the presentation, I will answer the question live for you. But I'm also going to take a note of them, and we're going to do a Q&A at the end. So by all means, drop a question in. All right, someone's in Raleigh. Awesome. LinkedIn user. Who are you, LinkedIn user? All right, here we go. All right, we've got, this is specifically for women, but there you go, for guys. Okay, we've got Morocco. We've got two ladies on. That's a great start when it's specifically designed for men, but there you go. Harriet. All right, okay. 3 women. Okay, we're getting all the ladies on. Bournemouth. Awesome. Ladies, this will actually still be relevant for you. Did you guys register? Did you guys all register? Interesting. So, look, how to build muscle, burn body fat, optimize your hormones, and feel fucking fantastic as you get older. Ladies, I'm going to be brutally honest. This is aimed at men. Some of the stuff is going to be relevant, but some of it's not. But I'm glad that you're here. What about the men in our lives? That is a good question, Christina. And that's a good point. So you taking notes for them. Renata, okay. How come I've attracted all the ladies into the group? It's not to say that. I used to coach ladies all the time. But there you go. Let me know if you've got any questions as we go through this. We've got Radcliffe, awesome, in Kent. Mark saying, how much? How much for what? How much for what, Mark? What are you asking for? I'm not charging. I'm not charging for anything. All right, we're going to get going. Evening, Dean. Good evening, sir. Good evening. There's lots of ladies on. I'm glad to see Dean's coming in live as well. So look, it's been a while since I've done a LinkedIn live, but I'm glad to be back. And just let me know if you can hear me okay. I've got a mic on. Hopefully it's picking up okay. So look, this is what we're going to look at. How to build muscle, burn body fat, optimize your hormones, and feel fucking fantastic as you get older. And this is what I specialize in. Helping guys and girls up until very, very recently. But I decided to move away from coaching women, not because I've got anything against women. I just needed to niche down. So I've gone in all as hard as I can with working with men. And you know what? I'm looking at guys working kind of my age. So that's kind of why I specialize in now. But this is what we're going to be looking at. Let me just show you this. It's what I call the fat loss code. And this is the 5 areas or 5 pillars, if you will, that I focus on and that I'm going to be teaching tonight. Now, here's the thing. I want to get this wrapped in about 45 minutes with a Q&A. So it's impossible. We could spend 2 hours on each of these topics. And in my coaching, that's what I actually do. But I'm going to touch on each of these subjects briefly and give you an overview. And I want you to walk away with a couple of ideas that you can start putting into practice straight away. Start giving you more energy, better sleep, better sex life, help you to lose weight. So we're going to touch on a couple of little things. There's only so much that we can do. Of course, you can speak to me at any time. Now, I'm going to drop this in here right now before we get into the good stuff. Let me just show you something here. If at any time you want to accelerate the process, you can book a call with me to speak. And this is not a sales call, just throwing it out there. This is completely free, 15 minutes where we're going to look at where you are with your health, how much weight you've got to lose, you know, what's working, what's not working. And I'm going to give you some real action steps you can put into practice straight away. So if you want to book a call, go ahead, www.gavgillibrand.com/apply. I thought I'd drop that in. I'm going to periodically drop that in throughout the whole of the presentation, but I thought I'd put it in there now. Okay, so if you want to speak to me at any other time on a more personal level, you can do just that. All right, guys, so we're going to look at those 5 areas. And the first topic was setting the foundations. Okay, setting the foundations. Without these 2 things, the rest of the stuff won't work. Okay, so when I'm working with a client, the first thing we have to look at, we look at nutrition and exercise. Now, this is where most people have it wrong. Most trainers, if I'm honest, most trainers have this wrong because they tend to focus on getting someone's exercise regime nailed down and forget nutrition. If we were to compare the 2, nutrition with exercise, look, exercise is very important, but it doesn't even come close to nutrition. Okay, you can't out-exercise a bad diet. So the main focus is we're going to start looking at calories. Now, what I want you to realize is calories are just like a budget. Calories are like a budget. And if you're given a budget to spend, if you overspend, that's when you gain weight. That's what we need to look at. And if you underspend consistently for a period of time, that's when you tend to lose weight. And you may have heard me, if you've seen, actually put in the chat right now, if you've seen any of my videos before on LinkedIn or on any social media platform. If you have, just drop a comment into the chat and let me know if you've ever seen any of my videos. If you're here on LinkedIn, you definitely will have, but just let me know if you have seen any of my videos and you've heard me talking about a calorie deficit. Okay, without this, nothing will work. Okay, so you can have the best program in the world, be following the best diet in the world, be eating as healthy, whatever the fuck that means these days, as you want, and doing everything right, getting best sleep, minimizing alcohol, lowering your stress, but without a calorie deficit, nothing will work. And guess what? It's how every single, someone said, put the fork down. Exactly. You've seen my videos. Put the fork down. Now, as simple as it sounds, it's often very, very difficult for many people. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I wouldn't have a business. I wouldn't have 20 clients that I'm working with now. Because if it was just as easy as eat fewer calories and move your body, let me tell you a secret, it is. That's the mechanical side of this. But the psychological side of this is very, very hard. And we're going to touch on both. So calorie deficit is simply where you're burning more calories than you take in. Now, there's 3 phases, really. There's a calorie deficit. That's where you're going to start losing weight. A calorie surplus. This is when you're going to start gaining weight. And guess what? This only works 100% of the time. And a maintenance is where you're neither losing weight or gaining weight. Okay. So if you're in a surplus, you're going to gain fat. That's how you get fat. That's how I get fat. That's how everyone else on the planet gets fat. If you're in a deficit, you're going to lose weight every single time. So someone said, well, Gav, okay, I'm just going to cut all my carbs, cut my booze out, no sugar, no cakes, no biscuits, no crisps. Yes, that will work. But how long will it work for? It's usually not very, very sustainable. And I tell you why, because you need to know the numbers. Okay. You need to know the numbers. If I give you a credit card with an unlimited budget on it, I said, do whatever you want. But at the end of the month, you're going to have to pay the bill. If you went and spent 20 grand on that card and the bill comes through, minimum payment, 1,500 quid, you're in the shit. Okay. But if I give you a budget and said, don't spend more than this, and that's the way I want you to look at your calories. Calories coming in against calories out. Now, there's a lot of obstacles in the way, usually from dietitians and nutritionists that don't know fuck all about this subject. I'm sorry to get blunt, but it's true. Okay. Because this is indisputable among the people that know this. Okay. If you're in a calorie surplus, you'll gain weight. If you're in a calorie deficit, you'll lose body fat regardless. And if someone's trying to lose weight and they're not losing weight, it simply means they're not in a calorie deficit. Okay. So we need to be burning more than you're taking in. Very, very simple. However, we need to have 3 or 4 things for this to work. One, it's got to be sustainable, which means enjoying the foods that you eat, eating the foods that you like. It's got to be something that you can sustain, which means it's probably going to be the same food as your partner, husband, wife, and the kids, because if it's very, very different and you're on this special plan, it's not sustainable. Okay. And ask yourself this question: can I see myself eating like this for the rest of my life? And if you can't, which most diets are like, you probably shouldn't be doing it, because what happens when you come to the end of your diet, you're getting ready for a holiday or vacation. Oh, I can't wait to go back to eating how I was before, normal. You put that weight back up. And what very often happens, people reduce their calories far too low too soon, and it's not sustainable. So they have that bounce back. So what we do is get you just into a calorie deficit where you're burning a little bit more than you're taking in. You're eating carbs, you're having a little bit of alcohol if you need to, if that's your thing, you're enjoying it, there's no obstacles in the way, and there's some longevity. So that's calorie deficit. So first thing I want to get out of the way. Without that, everything else won't work. Okay. So that's sort of what we call the foundations in terms of nutrition. The mechanical side, nutrition, calorie deficit, and moving your body. And the second thing I want to get across to you, and this is the most important thing. Most people, as I said before, spend all their time worrying about the calories that they're burning in the gym. Now, let's say you went to the gym 7 days a week. You don't need to go that often, but let's say you were doing exercise 1 hour every single day, 7 days a week. Okay, let's say you burn anywhere between 300 and 500 calories. Could be less, could be a little bit more. 90%, it's going to blow your mind. 90% of the calories you burn over a 24-hour period, okay, which is your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure, is actually burnt when you're not exercising. The other 23 hours of the day. So let's take away 6 to 8 hours when you're supposedly asleep. On average, for most people, you're left with about 14 to 16 hours of moving around, walking the dog, playing with the kids, cleaning the car, sweeping the yard or the garage, whatever you want to call it. General activity. And even if you got up and did nothing, laid on your sofa all day long, your BMR, that's your basal metabolic rate, you would burn calories. You would need a certain amount of calories, far more than you could burn in the gym. So the second thing I get my clients to focus on is get their steps up. Okay, we want to be focusing what we call the acronym NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. These are the calories that are burned when you're not at the gym. Okay, so the big thing that, look, my guys are losing on average, at the moment, it's actually better than normal, but on average, and I've tracked this, 26 pounds in 12 weeks. Okay, 26 pounds in 12 weeks. And they're doing that by controlling their calories, getting them into a calorie deficit, sustainable, eating the foods they enjoy, and increasing their step count. Of course, there's other things that go into it. All right. Now, I want to show you this whilst this in my mind. People will say, well, why should we listen to you, Gav? You know, what's so special about what you do? There's lots of people that do what I do. There's lots of people that do what I do, but I do it really fucking well, and people have a laugh and they enjoy themselves, and we get long-lasting results. And I want to show you some of those results. Okay. All these results I'm going to show you, these are the men that I've worked with over the last 2 or 3 years, and they're all results in 12 weeks. Okay, we see Mike, 22 pounds on the left there, dramatic transformation with 22 pounds. Steve lost a whopping 38 pounds, which is over 2.5 stone. Robin, 37 pounds. Mark, 33. I know you guys can read, but I'm just like reading out as well. Matt, 30 pounds. Duncan, 28 pounds, 12 weeks. And there's a couple of screenshots of some of the latest videos. And these are all on my website. If you want to go to gavgillibrand.com, click testimonials, you can see all of these. Look, 29 pounds, 30 pounds, 60 pounds there from Joe. He didn't do that in 12 weeks, just a full disclaimer. He actually did 48 pounds in 12 weeks, but since went on to 60 pounds subsequently, 20, 30, 30, 24, 21, 32, 32, 28, 42, and it goes on and on and on. Okay, enough of blowing my own trumpet. There's my testimonials, and there's loads more. There's loads more. And I've just had someone beat the record. Joe was the record, 48 pounds in 12 weeks, which is phenomenal. And I've had Gary do 49.5 pounds in 12 weeks. Okay, his testimony was coming next week. Anyway, so that's what we get them to do. Calorie deficit, get their steps up. And some of the guys are going to the gym. Some of the guys are doing cardio, extra things. But those 2 things alone are enough to accelerate your fat loss and get you losing weight. Okay. If you left this live and did nothing else but do those two things, you could get great results. Okay. So that's setting the foundations. Part two is mindset, bulletproof mindset. And I kind of touched on it. I said that, fat loss, the mechanical side, which is a calorie deficit and moving your steps, getting your steps up, is the mechanical side. The second part is the psychology of all of this, the psychology of fat loss, I like to call it, and a strong mind. And really, it's how to develop a bulletproof mind. Okay. The mechanics are very, very easy. Calorie deficit, get your steps up. Anyone, you can teach that to a 5-year-old in 10 seconds. Okay. It's very, very simple. But the psychology of fat loss is why people struggle. The psychology are things like self-limiting beliefs. Self-limiting beliefs. If you've struggled with losing weight before, and maybe this has been over 5 years, 10 years, maybe a couple of decades, if you've got a lot of weight to lose, very often you've got a lot of self-limiting beliefs that are working against you. And these self-limiting beliefs come from various experiences. Maybe you've tried to lose weight and it's not worked. Maybe you've always struggled with your weight. You've been overweight since you're a teenager. So you've had maybe some psychological trauma and some abuse there. Maybe you've been teased at school. Maybe your parents have always called you fat. Maybe they were overweight and you've always been told it runs in the family, or it's genetic, or you've got big bones. All those bullshit stories that many of us believe. That's where our self-limiting beliefs come from. And the self-limiting beliefs very often lead into self-sabotage, and then what we call the self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's a vicious cycle that goes round and round and round and takes someone down and down and down. For example, here's an example. Let's say someone tries to lose weight and they've tried to lose weight many times before. I get many men that come into the group and say, Gav, I've tried so many things before. I just can't lose weight because of X, Y, Z. And I said, well, if you tried everything, you would have lost weight because you haven't tried what I'm doing. And they go, no, I haven't tried that. Okay, so we're going to try that. But they're like, well, why would this work when I've tried so many things before? Because nothing works. So we have to overcome that. We have to show them proof this can work from testimonials I've got. And I get into their head, not literally, and show that they have got, we can build their self-esteem up. They can increase their confidence. And when we get some very quick wins early on, they think, okay, this does work. Okay. But self-limiting beliefs, let's say someone tries to lose weight previously. They've tried 5 times on something that was never going to work anyway. And they quit after 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. They've given themselves proof so many times. So almost when let's say they come into my program, they try again. This doesn't happen in my program, but it does happen in other people's programs. They come in, they go, I've tried everything before. It's not going to work anyway. So what's the point in me trying? Okay. So they're already shooting themselves in the foot. And what happens, they give it a half-assed effort. Maybe they don't follow the plan. Maybe they don't track the calories. They just don't engage in the program. Of course, they quit and it fails and they blame me or they blame themselves. But then inside they go, you see, I knew it wasn't going to work. I told you. So their lack of activity has almost proved their initial statement right. The self-sabotage kicked in and it caused the self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's that link between those two. So we have to overcome that. The hardest part of joining my program, getting people into my coaching program, is actually the first telephone call or Zoom call and getting them to believe that this will work and that they can actually lose weight and actually help them deserve it. Okay. So it's also trusting themselves, trusting the plan, trusting me. Okay. And that's building a bulletproof mindset. You've got to have the mechanics in place. We've got to have the calorie deficit and you've got to get your steps up for sure. That's the main thing. Okay. Without that, nothing will work. But without the psychology, you can have calorie deficit and get your steps up. But if someone's going to quit after a couple of weeks because they think it's not working, or they don't know what to do if they mess up on a Tuesday, when if they just stayed on the plan and carried it through for 12 weeks, they would have lost weight. People quit. So a big part is building a bulletproof mindset, getting that strong mind around the psychology of fat loss. It's a very important part. Okay. All right. Sleep. It's the third part in the 5 pillars of what we're going to. Right. We all know how important sleep is. Like, I don't have to tell any of you how important sleep is, but most of us don't get enough. Okay. Here's the thing. It's not a time machine to breakfast. Unfortunately, it's not a time machine to breakfast. If we were to look at, there's one thing that people in nutrition and fitness call the 3 pillars, and they look at sleep, exercise, and nutrition. They call those the 3 pillars. I don't really call them the 3 pillars. I actually think sleep is the base, and then nutrition and exercise come off that. I think nutrition, exercise are the pillars, and sleep is the base, because you can have the best diet in the world. You can be exercising regularly and doing all the things that we know make up a healthy lifestyle. But if your sleep is poor, it's going to wreck the whole process. It's going to wreck the whole process. Well, a lot of people say, well, where do I start? I'm a bad sleeper. I wake up a lot. The quality of my sleep isn't good. Often I wake up and I feel very, very tired. The first thing we need to look at someone's habits. And very often we'll see that maybe someone is eating too late in the evening, or maybe they're having coffee too late in the evening, or maybe they're drinking alcohol, within an hour or two bedtime. Let's face it, most people, when they have a drink, tends to be in the evening. So we need to look at what their habits are before we can actually make some changes. And very often, if we look at I'll call it the foundations again. If we look at nutrition, if we look at the habits around screen time and stress levels, we need to look at those things before we would even think about any other intervention, like some type of medical intervention, like a sleeping tablet. In fact, probably the worst option we could ever go to. Okay, so we need to look at sleep. And again, we're 20 minutes into this already. I want to keep this to 45 minutes. The first thing we would look at is getting someone to look at the 2 hours before bedtime. Okay, and a lot of people say, well, I go to bed far too late. So we need to work back. Okay, so what time does your alarm clock need to go off? Let's say it's 6 a.m. Okay, let's someone gets to work at 8. They need to be at 6. They've got to look after the kids, do what they need to do. So work back and think, well, how many hours of sleep do you want? Alarm's going off at 6. I would like 7 to 8 hours sleep. Let's say, for example, said, well, okay, well, that means let's look at 7 because you've been getting bad sleep. So let's start with 7. So you need to be lights out, trying to get to sleep at 11 o'clock. Okay, so let's start at 11 o'clock. And let's say someone is going to bed at midnight or 1. Most of my clients are often coming to me, my sleep's terrible and it's past midnight. Work back from 11, 2 hours. Okay, ideally, we don't want to have any screen time. That means television, laptop, mobile, any type of device. Okay, artificial light will interfere with your production of melatonin. Melatonin is a little hormone produced in the pineal gland right in the middle of your brain, and it's turned on when we sense darkness. It just makes you sleepy. The melatonin is a nice hormone that just makes you sleepy. Now, artificial blue light, which I'm staring at this screen, I've got a light right in my face, is interfering with the production of my melatonin for sure. And tonight, I'm not going to have the best night's sleep. It's 20 past 9 where I am at the moment. Okay, so ideally, no screen time 2 hours before, but that's very, very hard to do straight off the bat. So what I recommend people do is, can we start with half an hour? Okay, maybe do that for a week, then move to an hour, and then move up and move up. We need to solidify the habit before we start going in full, because you just won't do it. If someone's on their phone the minute before they go to bed at midnight, and all of a sudden we say, right, tomorrow night I'm going to bed at 11 o'clock, and I'm going to drop my phone down, no screen time at 9. It's not to say it's impossible, but it's very, very hard. It's very, very hard to do that. So start with half an hour. So at 10:30, phone's going off, and not have it in your bedroom. So maybe you need an alarm clock with something else. Maybe you need an analog. Get an old an alarm clock that rings rather than your phone. Or I use a Fitbit, silent Fitbit. It just buzzes and wakes me up. Okay. So phone off in another room, ideally, half an hour before, and then you can move out to an hour. So this is the first thing we would look at, no screen time. Then we would look at, okay, how late before bedtime are you eating? And you find out, well, someone's eating half an hour before bed. Now, here's the thing. It won't make any difference to weight gain or fat loss eating before bed, but it could very often decimate your sleep quality. The last thing you want is to be laying in bed with a massive full stomach, because digestion is very expensive. So your body's having to burn, and it will heat you up. So your body temperature goes up. It's burning calories. We want the body just rest and digest. We want it just relaxing. We don't want it working. So we want to have a main meal at least 2 or 3 hours before lights out. So we would look at that. Be one thing. We would certainly look at alcohol. We don't want to be having our alcohol 2 hours before bedtime. We don't want to be having coffee. If you go to bed at 10, your last coffee should be at 2 p.m. during the day. Okay. The coffee is what we call a half-life of about 6 hours, which means that 6 hours later, half of the caffeine that was in that coffee is still present in the blood. So if you have a coffee at 2 and you go to bed at 10, most of that caffeine will have cleared your system by then. So if you're having a coffee at 5, 6 p.m., some of that coffee, the caffeine is going to be in your blood. And if you're a light sleeper or a poor sleeper, it's going to affect the quality of your sleep, for sure. So there's so many different areas we can look at: alcohol, coffee. Stress is a big thing as well. Again, you can have all these other things. I'm going to touch on stress in a minute. But we would first try to establish some type of sleep ritual, working back. What can I do? Lights go down. But here's what you could do. Here's a great ritual. Let's say you're going to bed at 10. If someone's getting up at 5 or 6, 10 o'clock would be fantastic. 7, 8 hours. 10 o'clock, lights out. At 8 p.m., no screen time, and dim the lights. No laptop, no TV, no iPhone. I know it's painful, isn't it, the thought of it? But I'm just saying, if you value sleep, maybe it's something worth looking at. Maybe it's something worth looking at. Okay. No screen time. You could cool the room. That's another thing. A lot of people are sleeping in temperatures that just aren't conducive to quality sleep. Ideally, I mean, everyone's different, but they say the optimum temperature for quality sleep is around about 18 or 19 degrees. It's quite chilly in the room, but we tend to sleep better when we're cooler. We don't want to be too hot. But everyone's different. You need to find out. So there's sleep. Okay. Now here's the thing. We actually burn body fat when we sleep, because the body is obviously not burning calories. It's burning a small amount of calories. It's not burning a lot of calories. So it taps into your fat stores. So the better sleep you get, the more fat you'll burn. However, it's negligible when it comes to a calorie deficit. Calorie deficit will still trump everything. You can't just say, well, I'm sleeping really well, I'm not burning body fat. It will burn a little bit more body fat. We all burn body fat when we're sleeping, because we're just not generating enough energy. We're not using carbohydrates. It's not intense enough. So we're burning body fat as our source of fuel overnight. Okay, but it's small amount. It's small amount. You're not going to get lean by getting a great sleep, but it will certainly help. But what it does do, what great sleep does do, it regulates 2 very, very important hormones. Okay, and I want to touch on this: leptin and ghrelin. Okay, they sound like 2 characters out of the Lord of the Rings, but they're not. There are satiety and hunger hormone. Leptin is our satiety, tells you you've had enough food and you're full. Ghrelin is our hunger hormone, says eat more. What bad sleep does, it wrecks those hormones. It will send them skew-whiff, upside down, inside out. It messes them up. So you get up, you're hungry, you're craving carbs, you're not satisfied, and you're more hungry. And you've got these hormones telling you, I'm not full, I need to eat more, go and eat more. So you can see that is just not conducive for someone that's trying to burn body fat. Now, you can override them. You don't have to give in to them. No one's holding a gun to your head. They're not that dramatic. But for some people that struggle with the weight, they can be literally, it can be like torture. Your body's screaming, I'm hungry, I need to eat more. And that's from poor sleep. So by regulating your sleep, it won't actually directly make you burn more body fat or burn less body fat or help you lose weight. But indirectly, it will, because your hormones are going to be on your side. Okay, hormones are going to be on your side. Leptin and ghrelin, they're very, very important. I hope that makes sense, guys. All right, that's sleep. Okay, I'm going to move on from there. Oh, by the way, all these topics that I'm talking about, setting the foundations, bulletproof mindset, sleep, stress management, sex, testosterone, I've got a PDF that you might want to download. I'm going to pop this on the screen right now. The 5 unknown weight loss hacks for busy men with kids that want to build some muscle, burn body fat, optimize their hormone levels as they get older. Look, so if you want a free copy, just email me, hello@gavgillibrand.com. So I'm going to leave that on the screen for a bit. So hello@gavgillibrand.com. And you can get, as I said, I'm just touching on a few of these areas, but if you want more in depth, that would be a great first step. Okay, so just email me and I'll add you to it and I'll send you a copy. Okay, awesome. So setting the foundations, we've done that. Bulletproof mindset, we've looked at that. Sleep, we've looked at that. Stress management. Now, these three topics, sleep, stress, alcohol, sex, they kind of roll into one because, for example, getting good sleep will be affected by stress and alcohol. Having good sex and having a high level of testosterone is affected by sleep, stress, and alcohol. So these three on here, the last three, sleep, stress management, sex, and testosterone, which are the three big core pillars of the modules that we focus on, they're all intertwined. They're all linked. Because if you're getting bad sleep, you tend to be stressed. And if you're stressed and you're not getting good sleep, sex drive and testosterone levels are down. You can't have one with the other. You know, it's unlikely that you've got a high testosterone level, which is responsible for mood, energy, burning body fat, building muscle in women as well as men, obviously mostly men, but very important for women. If your testosterone is low, we can very often look to, okay, what's someone's habits? We can look at their stress levels. We can look at their sleep. So they're all intertwined. They kind of just mix in. When one's down, it's going to affect the other. You can't have one. You could be sleeping great. We would generally find that someone doesn't tend to be too stressed, and someone sleeping well will regulate all of this. Okay, but there's different things we can do throughout this. So those three are kind of intermingled. But stress management. This is going to sound funny, but the first thing we do is look at someone's sleep. First thing we do when someone's stressed, okay, what are you sleeping like? And I've rarely come across anyone that is sleeping fantastically when they're really, really stressed. And on from that, I'll say, okay, what's your alcohol consumption like? Because alcohol is a depressant, as we know, we all love it. Most people love it, but it will cause anxiety in the long run, which can obviously lead to depression, and it can lead to stress, and it can cause bad sleep. So they're all kind of linked. So the first thing we do is we look at someone's habits, how they're sleeping, and we'll fix that. Very often, if we fix someone's sleep, the quality of the sleep they're getting by looking at rituals, we tend to see their stress diminish. But there's loads of different things we can do. And I'm not going to make this, like I said, we could talk about stress for hours and hours. In the PDF that I mentioned, if you're coming to this now, if you want to download this PDF, send me an email, hello@gavgillibrand.com, and I'll send you, and there's a lot more detail on stress in the PDF. Okay, but the first thing we want to do is obviously look at someone's habits and routines, and what is the stressor? What is it? Is it financial? Is it maybe they're stressed about their weight? Maybe it's their relationships. So we need to look at what the problem is. Okay, and then we can look at how we can fix it. There's various techniques that we can lower stress, but I want to talk to you about this one thing that I actually stole. I didn't steal. I gave it away free by Dr. Huberman, Andrew Huberman. Huberman. Don't know how you pronounce his name. And it's called the physiological sigh. The physiological sigh. You know, when you feel stressed, and this is something that's in the moment. It's not long-term stress management, because if you're feeling stressed in the moment, it's all very well, okay, go and do some yoga and some stretching and light a candle. That might help in the long term. But what do you do in the moment? How do I reduce stress in the moment? Heartbeat going, adrenaline pumping, palms are sweaty, that type of stress. Okay, it's called the physiological sigh. And what you do is you take 2 sharp inhales and 1 long exhale. I'm going to do a demonstration for you right now. And this has been proven in the literature and hundreds of studies or anecdotal results. It's very well documented. So you do 2 sharp inhales, you go, and then exhale. And that alone. So it's not an exhale, it's 2 sharp ones, almost like you're filling your lungs as far as you can, and then you try and go again. And what this does, it forces oxygen into your lungs, reduces stress in the moment, reduces adrenaline, slows your heartbeat down. And I've tried it. It works. It works. So there's something you can do in the moment. Now, long-term stress management techniques are going to come down to exercise, diet, meditation, yoga, massage, all the different things that we know. Okay, but I just wanted to give you a little tip that you could use in the moment. In the moment. All right, so there's stress. Number 5. Let's have a look at number 5. Here we go. All right, number 5 in the pillars of the fat loss code: sex and testosterone. All right, people say, well, why is this important? Well, if we're looking at life, we're looking at losing weight, that's all very well, but we also want to look at how it's very hard to get results in any area of your life, whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to build a company, make money, build a business or something, if your relationship at home is shit. And I can tell you right now, when the sex goes from a relationship, it's in trouble. It's in trouble. And when you're very, very overweight for various reasons, often, not always, but often, that person, that man's sex life tends to be not great. Tends to be not great. And I'm not judging. I'm just telling a reality. There's someone that might be watching and say, well, you're talking rubbish, Gav. Me and my wife having it 5 nights a week. Maybe you are. But the vast majority of us, even if you're in super shape, you're not doing it 5 times a week. If you've been married and got kids, you're not. Some of you are, but most of us are not doing that. If you're very, very overweight, your confidence tends to be low. Sex drive, libido is very, very low. Testosterone is low. Estrogen is high. You don't feel good in the sack. You don't feel confident when you've got your clothes off. Maybe you're embarrassed. Maybe your dick doesn't get hard. Just simple things like this. We need to fix this. We need to fix this. So this is an important. Now, a lot of the guys that come into this, they laugh at this. Oh, they get a bit embarrassed. But once we fix this, they're like, Gav, I'm really chuffed that we looked at this because it's changed everything. Me and my wife are having sex more. I feel more comfortable in the bedroom. You've helped me get my mojo back. Not only have I lost weight, but I'm feeling great. You know, our relationship's getting better. Happy wife, happy life. When you're having sex, it makes you feel like a man again. This is a very, very important part of what I do. So how do we boost testosterone levels? Let's look at that. It's going to tie back into number 1. First thing we want to do is look at exercise and nutrition. Okay, the 2 main things. In fact, all of them. Guess what? The best way to boost testosterone is to exercise, get great nutrition, work on your mindset, get good sleep, reduce your stress. That's going to boost your testosterone. Okay, but let's break it down. Weight training is the best way to boost testosterone levels. So we want to be weight training 2 or 3 times a week, and this is across the board. And I'm not talking about being a bodybuilder or powerlifter or a strong man or anything stupid. I'm talking about just steady resistance training at least a couple of times a week. And this is important. For the guys who are in their 40s or 50s, this is very, very important. Okay? We need to not necessarily build muscle, but we need to keep strong. If we look at some of the stats of the people that have a fall and break their hip, very often they die quite quickly after they've broken a hip. And that's because the lack of strength in their skeletal system, their muscular system. Okay? If you're in your 70s, your mid-70s, early 80s, and you've been weight training or doing some type of resistance training all your life, you fall and break or don't break a hip, you're going to live longer. It's a fact. It's a fact. It's not me just making that up. Okay? So the best way to boost testosterone and build muscle, get strong, is doing weight training. So you've got to have weight training in your program on some level. Okay? And the heavier weights you lift, the more your testosterone goes up. And it's the opposite of a vicious circle. Let's call it a positive circle. Win-win. When your testosterone goes up, you build a bit of muscle, your body fat decreases slightly if you're in a calorie deficit, and you get stronger. So it's a win-win-win. Okay. But low T levels, chronic low testosterone levels, can cause men all sorts of problems. Brain fog, lack of dopamine. It's linked very closely to dopamine, which is a hormone neuromodulator responsible for us being driven and seeking out and attacking things and being motivated. When low testosterone in a man, libido is down, they feel a bit worthless, a bit listless. It's not fun. It's not where we want to be. So exercise, weight training, good quality fats in your diet, and saturated fat in particular. Saturated fat is one of the best things to have in your diet for boosting testosterone. So don't be scared of saturated fat. Despite what the doctor might say, it's not going to give you a heart attack. Okay? Not going to give you a heart attack. If you're not sure, email me. We'll talk about this on a one-to-one. In fact, I'll show you this again. If you want to book a call with me and find out where you are with your body, you know, what's working, what's not working. If you want to talk about diet, nutrition, mindset, sleep, stress management, sex, testosterone, all the things that we've talked about in the presentation tonight, book a call with me. It's not a sales call. Keep your credit card in your pocket. I'm not going to try and sell you anything. I just want to help you as much as I can. Now, admittedly, some people from this call go on and become clients of mine, but that's not the aim of this call. Okay, I want to help you as much as I can. So gavgillibrand.com/apply. Book that call, 15 minutes. I promise you, going to be nothing but value. All right, back to the topic. So we talked about nutrition, saturated fat, heavy weight training for boosting testosterone levels. Guess what? The better sleep you have, the higher your T levels. The higher T levels. And also low T levels can cause bad sleep. So again, they can see how they're all kind of linked. Christina is asking, will you not consider coaching women again? Actually, Christina, to be honest, there is one lady in the group at the moment, Sophia, doing really, really well. And she was just the last lady of the crop. But if I'm honest, I am open to coaching the odd woman. I'm not overly pushing it. So if you're interested, let's have a conversation. Let's please do have a conversation. Because I can tell you 99% of what I'm talking about here will work for women. I just happen to choose working with men. But if you want to have a conversation, let's book a call and go from there. So we talked about exercise, nutrition, sleep. Good quality sleep is going to cause you to have better T levels. Stress, reduction in stress. You can see they're all linked in. Okay, so good sleep, minimizing stress, eating well, saturated fats. And also, you know what is one of the best things to do, which a lot of people overlook, and I kind of touched on it, the second part, is the bulletproof mindset. When you feel good about yourself, okay, when you've got confidence, when there's not a direct link from having confidence and feeling good and great self-esteem to boosting T levels. Not the research that I've seen. Maybe I haven't seen it. But you know what? It's indirect, because when you feel confident and feel good about yourself, what do you tend to do? You tend to eat better. You tend to go to the gym, or you tend to take care of yourself better. So it's like a knock-on effect. When you fix this, there's a knock-on effect to every other area of your life. When you're sleeping better, when you've got good energy, when your relationships with other people are really good, when you've got confidence, when you feel good, you start to lose weight, you go to the gym more, you start eating healthier, you tend to get better sleep, you wake up, you're in a better mood, more likely to go and lift weights. So it's not direct going to affect testosterone, but indirectly it absolutely will. Absolutely will. Absolutely will. Well, look, guys, 43 minutes. I can't believe it's gone so quick. I'm going to keep this. Is anyone that's on at the moment, if you've got any questions, Q&A, let's do it now. Anyone with a question? Anyone? I'm going to leave two slides up. I'll show you two slides. If you want a copy of the PDF that I've been touching on here, the 5 unknown weight loss hacks for busy men that want to build some muscle, burn fat, optimize their hormone levels as they get older. If you want a free copy of that, make sure you email me, hello@gavgillibrand.com. I'll add you to that, send that across. So there's that to start with. And then also, if you want to speak to me on a one-to-one, where we can just look at where you are, how much weight you want to lose, where you want to get to, and we'll look at it. This is not generic. We'll look at exactly what's going on in your life, find out what we can do, look at the basics, and get you moving and losing weight as soon as possible. All right. Anyone with any questions? Well, I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. I appreciate the ones that came on. Thank you very much. I should be back with another one. We're going to do another one in about 5 or 6 weeks, I think. For those that missed it, I'm going to send the recording out. I know quite a few of you came on. I'm going to send the recording out to the ones that missed it, registered. So you'll get the recording. If you want to book a call, please do go to gavingellibrand.com/apply. Oh, Radcliffe's come in. Radcliffe, you've saved the bell. Ask me a question. What are the best muscle groups to work on to build muscle faster? Good question. The very broad, but the quickest way to build muscle is to train what we call the compound movements. And these are movements that use 2, 3, or 4, maybe more muscle groups at a time. So, for example, if I was to name the top 4 in my books, would be something like the squat, deadlift, bench press, and maybe some type of row, maybe like a bent over row or a chin up or a dip. There's 5. Okay. And squat is using every muscle in your body. Deadlift, pretty much the same. So we're trying to recruit as much muscle fiber as we can. That's going to generate the most energy, help you build the most muscle as long as your nutrition is in line. But think of a compound exercise is where you're using all of those muscle groups. An isolation exercise would be something like a bicep curl. And you're just using the bicep and maybe your forearm as well. So 2 or 3 muscles. Okay. So isolation is maybe when you've got muscle, when you're trying to chisel it down. But if you're trying to build maximum amount of muscle and strength, you want to stick to compound exercises. All right. Well, let's stay for some more questions. We'll stay for another 5 minutes. Anyone else got any more questions? I'm going to give it a minute. If I don't hear from anyone in 60 seconds, I'm going to leave the live. You're welcome, Christina. Very informative. Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else? Radcliffe has said, what are the best muscle groups to work on to build muscle faster? Got the answer to that one. Okay, I'm going to give it 10 seconds, guys. Thank you for showing up. Hope you enjoyed this. You get the recording, and I will see you all very soon.